Global markets, they're likely to keep a keen tab on the fate of Theresa May's Brexit deal in the British Parliament later today. Michael Every of Rabobank joins us on the phone line to run us through, his analysis and the various cases that can really come out of that. Hi, Michael. Thanks so much for joining in. What are you building in? Most of the street are, talking about this Brexit vote going against Theresa May.
Well, I think that's a no-brainer, to be honest. If we see anything happen other than that, you are going to get an almighty shock in the market, because the only question now is how badly she loses it. And I don't claim to have any inside angle at all sitting here in Hong Kong, but the numbers that we're seeing being talked about by the press are losing by over 200 seats, which would be the worst defeat since 1924, which is, a pretty bad thumping for any British Prime Minister, to be honest.
Michael, is this priced in by the markets? If indeed we see a defeat to that magnitude of 150, 200 votes, should we expect a knee-jerk negative reaction in tomorrow's trade?
Well, I think there probably will be, purely because even though people are talking about it, no one's quite sure how to deal with that until they see it. And when you do suddenly see the headline saying shocking defeat, and there'll be talk of Theresa May having to step down, etc., 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 it's likely to, kick off even further uncertainty. But, we are coming rapidly towards the end of this particular paradigm of pretending that we don't know what's going on with Brexit and kicking the can down the road. And within the next couple of days, we're going to have a much, much clearer idea of what happens after this deal is rejected. And the market, if you look at how sterling is trading, it's just starting to pop up a little bit. It looks like people are starting to edge towards the view that actually Brexit may somehow get cancelled or seriously watered down to the point where actually it's very sterling positive. It's still early days and it's still volatile, but I'm just starting to get that sense.
Well, Michael, when we were heading into Brexit, people thought that it's going to be a big negative event. It didn't really play out that way, at least with regard to global equities. Now, if in fact Brexit is cancelled, what kind of a reaction are you expecting for the globe, emerging markets, developed markets?
Well, if, and I stress if, because it's it's still early days, if we were to see Brexit cancelled or watered down to the point where it really effectively means nothing, naturally you would see a very, very large risk-on move everywhere, because it would be taken as a leading indicator that the forces of anti-globalization have been dealt a stunning blow, populism's been defeated, etc., etc., etc. You can write the headlines for yourself. I think it'll be fairly short-lived, except for the UK, because it will be unadulterated good news for the UK. But, it doesn't necessarily mean that populism in the rest of the world is in any way being watered down. It would just mean that, it's one of the first countries to deal with it and grapple with it have decided to temporarily back away.
So, Michael, just for the near term, on an emerging market impact, if indeed, there is that big defeat that takes place tomorrow, and going ahead we see a watered-down version of the Brexit, how does it change things for emerging markets in terms of, would it, does it make any difference at all to emerging markets, or is purely going to be a UK-specific thing?
Well, may I reverse the question to you? What do you think Brexit or no Brexit would mean for the very large Indian economy?
Well, I don't think it's going to. I think you're the guest, so you should be the one answering that. That's why we've got you. So you cannot.
Well, I'm asking you the question because I'm trying to think how, in any way, the reality of what happens.
No, okay.
What about in terms of flows?
Okay, what about in terms of flows? For a foreign investor, redirect his money to the UK markets, because now that perhaps the uncertainty comes down to some extent,
well,
or the negative comes down.
Okay, I see your argument. Sorry to interrupt. I do see your argument. But again, what investor has the UK and India in the same investment basket? I'm not quite sure who we're talking about here, but okay. I don't know many people who would say, right, I'll switch from India back into British blue chips. That's a very strange fund they're running.
All right. Thank you, Michael. We'll leave it at that. Here's a quick note for our viewers then. Secure yourself and your family with life insurance. CNBC TV 18, in partnership with ICICI Prudential Life Insurance, launches a new initiative called Mission Insure India, Insurance for All. This is a 6-month-long campaign with the objective to create awareness and disseminate knowledge about life insurance and the need to protect one's family. As a part of Mission Insure India, we celebrate the 15th of every month as a Protection Day, a day dedicated to inculcate the thought of protecting families' future.